Hello, everybody. Welcome to our podcast. This is the Uncle and the Carbuncle. We'll take you from Dixie Walker to Dixie Cups. Our show for today is going to concentrate on the big awards, the MVP, Rookie of the Year, Cy Young Awards, and we've also added a couple of other awards, Best Defensive Infielder and Outfielder. We're going to start with the MVP awards, and I'll let my partner, Christian, give you his take on it.
For the MVP award in the National League, I gotta give it to Cody Bellinger, and
Mm.
I don't really think anyone even comes close to competing with him. He has 47 home runs, 115 RBIs, while batting 303. That doesn't happen every year.
Yeah,
But with him, he does something like this, gets stats that are unheard of almost every year. I know he's young and hasn't had much of a career yet, but so far from what we've seen of him, that's what he does, and those numbers, I think, lock him in for the NL MVP. There could be an argument that Yelich would have gotten it over him if Yelich didn't get hurt, but Yelich did get hurt. He's not playing anymore, so I think you got to give it to Bellinger now.
I agree with everything you said, and even if Yelich would have had the same numbers as Bellinger, Bellinger is a supreme defender. He's probably going to win the Gold Glove in right field. He's an outstanding center fielder and an outstanding first baseman. And plus, he's got the best speed on the team. So he's got all those things going for him, and I agree that if Yelich didn't get hurt, it would be more of a horse race. But I have to agree with Bellinger. Okay, let's go to the American League. Who's your pick in the American League?
Mike Trout, easily.
Easily, he says.
Easily.
Remember that, folks. He said easily. Go ahead.
Mike Trout is a generational talent. He's in the conversation. I've heard people say he's possibly the best player ever to live. Now, I don't know if I would go that far, but he's definitely in that conversation. And I think just by his name and the way he backs it up on the field as well with the name, he carries a big load every single game he plays because everyone expects him to play at that generational talent level day in and day out, which I think he does pretty good. This year, his average is sub 300. He's only batting 291, but he has 45 homers and 105 RBIs, which still, both of those are very good numbers. And I think he should win it over all the other competitors solely based on his name. And I know that's not enough criteria to only win him it, but come on, he's Mike Trout.
Okay, well, a lot of what you say is true. However, this is most valuable player. It's not most generational player. It's not the most valuable player of all time. It's most valuable player of this year. Trout is certainly a generational talent, but that's got nothing to do with this award. I think that Trout also strikes out a lot, by the way, and
True.
he did, even before this home run rash took over. But I respect Trout. He's a tremendous talent. He did get hurt. If he didn't get hurt, we might not even have a conversation. However, let's look at Bregman on the Astros. When you say it's not close, all the numbers are very close. Bregman hit 295, Trout hit 291. Trout has 45 homers, Bregman has 41. Trout has 104 RBIs, Bregman has 111. So the numbers are close there. I think the biggest thing, though, at the end of the day, Trout's team is just a bad team. And Bregman is playing on the team that led the major leagues in wins. So I think Bregman has a bit of an edge there. And I think because he played for the full year, I think I would lean towards Bregman for this award. But Trout, as usual, will finish first or second in the MVP award.
I'm going to have to disagree with that because the award is called Most Valuable Player, not Most Valuable Player on the best team.
Right. But here's the point. If he had a terrible year, would it affect his team?
No, it wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't. They'd still be a bad team. The most valuable player historically came from a team that won or was in the playoffs or was, had a tremendous year.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, let's go to another category. The first one's easy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Rookie of the Year in the National League. Go ahead, Christian.
Pete Alonso. I don't think there's much of a conversation there. Rookie home run record with 53. At the time of this recording, he still has one more game to play. He could get more than that. You never know. Anything could happen. And who else is going to take it? Will Smith on the Dodgers? I mean, I just don't think he's there yet.
No. Not even close.
It's got to be Alonso.
Yeah, and not only that, but Alonso's a good guy. He's a great face of the franchise going forward. He's very media friendly. When he won the home run derby in the All-Star game, he donated a percentage of the money to the firemen and the cops in New York.
I respect him a lot for that.
Yeah, he's a good guy. So I'm glad he broke the rookie record for home runs. Just an all-around good guy. All right, now let's go to the American League. There's a little bit of a ball game here. Go ahead.
My pick is Yordan Alvarez of the Astros. He's batting. He's only played what I think it was
86.
something like 86 games. Yeah, but he in those 86 games, he's batting 317 with 27 home runs and 78 RBIs. Can we just take a minute to appreciate how amazing that is? That's pretty much saying if he played the entire season this year, he'd be competing with Pete Alonso for the home run record. He's on pace for like 135 RBIs if we play the entire season. That's unheard of. That's ridiculous. That doesn't happen. His on base percentage is through the roof with 493. That's really special right there.
Yeah, I think it's 443. I think that was a misprint. But yeah, 443 for an on base percentage is crazy. And this is a rookie, man. This kid came up and just took over. And he had to take over because he's playing on the best team in the American League. So if he wasn't doing well, he wouldn't have lasted very long. Alvarez and Alonso, those are your rookies of the year, I think anyway. Now we get to one that's a little debatable. Let's talk about the Cy Young Award in the American League.
This is where it gets interesting.
Yes.
The two frontrunners for the Cy Young Award happen to be teammates on the Astros as well, Justin Verlander and Garrett Cole. Now, my pick personally is Garrett Cole. Cole has a 19-5 record with a 2.52 ERA with 316 Ks and only 207 innings. That's crazy.
That's impressive.
Very impressive, yes.
Yeah.
And I just think he has a little bit of an edge over Verlander. Verlander's 21-6, 2 more wins, but also 1 more loss. 2.58 ERA, so Cole wins ERA. 7.7 WAR, while Cole's is 6.5. Now, Verlander does have the edge in WAR, but I just think you got to give it to Cole. Cole has 16 more strikeouts than Verlander and less innings pitched.
Yeah, I mean, look, the only edge that Verlander has, he has the edge in wins. He's got 21 wins, and he does have a higher WAR, a pretty considerably higher WAR, which is kind of odd. But 316 strikeouts and 207 innings, that's crazy talk. Their ERAs are about the same. The numbers are very, very close, except for the WAR number. The thing I really like about Verlander is he's got a history of being a warrior. You give him the ball, he's going to give you 8 strong. He's going to come out in a big game and give you all he's got. However, this is the Cy Young Award. It's for 1 year, and that's it. Now, I know Cole's in his walk year, so that probably was a good incentive for him. However, I think at the end of the day, I think Cole has a slight edge. If Verlander won it, I wouldn't argue, either way. Okay, that's great. Let's go to one of our positions, defensive outfielder. Okay. You want to go first with this, or you want me to go?
Yeah, I'll go.
Go ahead.
So my pick would be Yelich, and I know he hasn't played the entire season. He had that knee injury when he fouled the ball off.
But he's played enough.
He has definitely played enough.
Yeah.
He has a 7.2 WAR, which is very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
He's only played 124 games this season, but like we said before, that's enough. He only has 7 outfield assists. Now that kind of is like, it's not.
It's better than average.
It is better than average, but he could be better, and his counterpart, which we'll get to, has a few more than that. And he only has 4 errors, which for 124 games rather, that's pretty good. I mean, he is in right field. He's a corner outfielder, but still only 4 errors on that course of that amount of time, I think is very good.
Yeah, Yelich is a terrific player, offensively and defensively. Just that Bellinger's better defensively. I mean, offensively, there could be a coin flip, but defensively, Bellinger's better. He's probably won the Gold Glove in right field. If he had played enough games, he might have won it in center field or first base too. So he's very versatile. He's got tremendous speed. He beats out infield hits all the time. I watched almost every game he played this year, and he's always hustling out of the box. He does have 10 outfield assists. He's only made 2 errors. His WAR is a crazy 8.9, and his fielding percentage is 990. I mean, we could throw numbers at you, but Bellinger he's the goods. I think he's clearly the best defensive outfielder. Before we get to defensive infielder, let's talk about Cy Young in the National League. Do you want to start with your thoughts, Christian?
My pick's got to be Jacob deGrom on the Mets. He is very special, and he may not have the record to back it up necessarily, but he was on the Mets in July, and in the beginning to a little bit of the middle of the season, the Mets struggled a lot. They just did not have it clicking together. So he had a lot of losses when he should have won. Like, one that sticks out to me a lot is against Atlanta in, I think it was early September or late August. He lost 2-1 to Atlanta. The only run the Mets scored that game was a home run by Jacob deGrom. And you just can't have that. And I don't think that should be held against him. So I don't really think record should matter. Now, you could also make a case for Max Scherzer for that. But I think you got to give it to deGrom. When you look at the numbers, deGrom does have a slight edge. They're both outstanding pitchers, and I wouldn't complain either way.
Okay, yeah, I think this is a 3-horse race: deGrom and Verlander and I'm sorry, Scherzer and Ryu. Ryu faded around August, but he did come back with 2 strong starts towards the end of the year against the Mets and the Giants. And he did lead the league in ERA, so he will get some support. But at the end of the day, I just think that deGrom's the best pitcher. I just, from what I see, he's the best pitcher. He doesn't get support, and you're right, wins aren't the most important thing. But Jacob deGrom, in my opinion, has been the best pitcher in the National League this year. And your point about the Mets not supporting him is a valid point, because even when the Mets were hitting, it seemed they wouldn't hit for him for some reason. That happens sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I would agree with Jacob deGrom's National League Cy Young. Okay, well, we're going to go to defensive infielder, and you want to make a case for Baez.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I gotta go for the best defensive infielder in the National League. I gotta go with Javi Baez. Baez has 129 appearances at shortstop. He does have 15 errors, which is a little more than I'm sure he'd like. I think he would love to keep that number below 10 or at 10, but you got to keep in mind, he plays shortstop, arguably the toughest position on the field. He has to dive for balls, backhand balls, go off the middle and run them down. And his fielding percentage is .973, which is also very, very good, with the 4.8 WAR. Now, I know WAR also takes into consideration hitting, but we're just focusing on defense for now, and his defense is a huge part of his game. He has many tools as a player, and his defense is one of his strongest, if not the strongest tool he has.
Okay, yeah, Baez is a terrific player. The player I think is the best infielder in the National League is Nolan Arenado in Colorado. And I watch a lot of games that this guy's played. He's got 9 errors in 153 games, and he gets to a lot of balls. He dives to his right, he dives to his left, he makes plays in foul territory. So he's got a .980 fielding percentage. His WAR is 5.8, which is strong. And if you watch him, the eye test, the optics, you would agree that Nolan Arenado, he's the best. He really is the best. Certainly the best third baseman. And I would argue, the best defensive infielder in the National League. So, there you go. You have anything to add?
I think those are both very fair arguments, and I think it really could go either way, even though it's not a standardized award in the league.
Yep. All right, that's what we think. What do you think? Send your comments to our email address at
uncleandcarbuncle@gmail.com.
That's Carbuncle, CARBUNCLE, Uncle and Carbuncle @gmail.com. This is the uncle and the carbuncle signing off. Thanks for listening.